we're going to be talking about bringing characters back from the dead. I guess that's a good lead-in. I don't know.
Probably. When I edit this, it probably won't be. But we'll find out, I guess.
So, for my criteria for bringing back a character, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but two things. You have to explain how they survived to some degree.
Yeah.
And then the other thing...
See, I'm alive.
Yeah.
Because I am.
The other thing, they have to have a reason to come back. And it can't just be, oh, well, I want them to fight so-and-so. Or, oh, well, it makes sense that they survived. You know what I mean? They have to... It has to meet one or two of these.
You're talking about Star Wars. You're talking about Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. Specifically, Darth Maul.
He's the big one, other than Palpatine, I guess, where at the end of Phantom Menace, he got cut in half. I believe George Lucas included the shot of him falling in two pieces, so that way it would be definitive that he was dead. But then, come time for Clone Wars, it was his idea to actually bring him back.
Really?
Which was it came from George, that he wanted to bring Darth Maul back. I guess maybe he realized either fans wanted more of him, or maybe he saw it as a opportunity to do it. And Darth Maul, actually, I think he's the best example of bringing a character back, because he does so much, and there is so much more to his character, and they play into the fact that he lost, and that he got cut in half and humiliated, and that he's not a Sith anymore, technically, and he does really interesting stuff. He, fueled by his revenge, or his hatred for Obi-Wan, and he wants to get revenge on him. Really cool stuff.
Yeah, and it eventually wants to get revenge on, the Sith, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he's out for blood, and it has meaning. It's not just, oh, I want to see him fight Obi-Wan. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of deep stuff going on there. His deep-seated hatred. He's got his relationship with his brother. They don't explain how he lived, though. At least not in the show. You can infer that he survived the way Anakin survived, just fueled by the dark side, fueled by his hatred. Because, Anakin should have died on Mustafar, but he was, clung on to his hatred.
That's what I always thought, is that, his madness or whatever just, drove him, crazy, and he was somehow survived through just, sheer dark side rage or whatever.
Yeah. That definitely comes across with how insane he is and how angry he is about everything. So it makes enough sense, though I'm not going to try and beat around the bush. They don't explain how he came back, but you can at least infer. And even going just beyond Clone Wars into Solo and then Rebels, they still give, even in Rebels, I know you have your problems with that show, but they still at least give him something relevant and meaningful to do in that time period, still hunting down Obi-Wan and everything. That's all I really have to say about Maul. I'd say he's the gold standard for bringing characters back, although maybe a little more explanation on how would have been good. Let's go into Sidious. He's probably the second biggest one who was definitively dead. And I know in the old canon they did what they call the Dark Empire, where they brought him back as a clone, and I think his spirit inhabited the body or something like that. Not too dissimilar from what they did in Rise of Skywalker.
What did they do in Rise of Skywalker again?
Okay, so to me, he technically never died, but they treat it like he did. So before his body hit the reactor or whatever, he sent his consciousness all the way to Exegol, and he put it in a clone body that wasn't really ready yet. And so that whole time he was searching for that's why he was making all the Snoke clones and stuff, was to try and build a body that would be able to handle his power. Now keep in mind, none of that was explained in the movie, because you go from episode 6, he's dead, and then you go to episode 9 and he's alive, and the only explanation they give, which, they technically explain it, but not really. He just quotes that line from Revenge of the Sith where he talks about the dark side being a pathway to many unnatural abilities, which it explains it, but it's not specific enough. You can't just say the dark side brought me back, because people didn't know if that was the Palpatine from Episode 6, or if it was a different body, or if it was a clone altogether. But it is like the Palpatine from Episode 6, just in a different body. It's weird.
Yeah, see, that's one I don't like. That one I think is handled very poorly, because even though I saw the movie, I didn't know any of that stuff.
Oh, no, I didn't know that either. That's like, from a novel.
Like, then I was like, well, Snoke was just a failed Palpatine clone then. Quite literally.
Kind of. That's the thing. They don't explain that either. They explain that he made Snoke. But then it's like, okay, what does that mean?
Yeah.
You know? I don't want to get too much into that. I want to save that for Rise of Skywalker. But going off of, like, Palpatine, and, like, they brought him back, and the only reason I can really think of is that they didn't think Kylo Ren was big enough to be the villain of the last movie.
Yeah.
So they had to bring Palpatine in, and it kind of works.
Yeah.
Because it explains where the First Order came from, like the meaning behind the First Order. So if that's the reason, the meaningful reason to bring him back was to give context to episodes 7 and 8 and be like, oh, it was like the first wave of my troops and now I have the final order, you know, then it makes sense. Like, it works better that way, not thinking of it as they needed a big villain for the final movie. So I guess technically he hits both criteria, and the other reason was to give Rey some type of struggle with her past and parentage. She finds that she comes from a lineage of evil. You see, like, it hits both of my criteria, but, like,
it doesn't hit it well.
Yeah, that's the thing, is, like, it hits it kind of half-assed. I don't know. I don't feel like Sidious was done that well in terms of coming back, because then he just died again.
Yes, his death felt like a climax. Like when Darth Vader threw him over...
His initial death.
His initial death.
Okay.
Like when he was thrown into the Death Star core or whatever, that felt like, okay, he's done. Like, this evil is
There was
gone.
a meaning behind it. Not only fulfilling the prophecy, but he was protecting saving the son that he loved. Which it still is, but he's not killing him. You know what I mean? It's sort of just prolonging it, which is like, alright, whatever. Next one I have is Boba. Because he technically died in the Sarlacc pit. Sorry, John. But, you know, he technically died.
Yeah,
People were
right.
like, oh, he survived the Sarlacc pit. It's like, well, that was never officially canon. But now
it is.
He is. And again, they didn't explain. I mean, I guess you could just say he, like, climbed out in the armor. The armor is scarred enough.
How long from that moment that he got out to the moment we see him again in Mandalorian? What is that time span?
Couple years.
Only a couple?
It's like, I'm guessing he got out soon after, like, he got in. I can't imagine he was in there for very long, because he had to, like, eat and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm guessing the armor protected him, so that's enough of an explanation. Because you can look on the armor and see it's, like, all, like, corroded and stuff. But I think it's, like, that Mandalorian takes place in 7 ABY, so it's about, like, 3 years. And, you know, they give him meaning when he comes back, and they do something with his character that wasn't done before. He's not like a villain anymore. He's more of like a anti-hero, more so leaning on hero, because he's helping out the good guys and stuff. And
yeah, but, you know, he's doing it, you know, because... What was he doing it for again?
He just wanted his armor back and stuff, and then he had a debt to Mando to get the child back. And now that's gone, and now he's the leader of the... I don't think it's the Hutt cartel, but, you know, that's where Book of Boba Fett's gonna take off, as him in charge of at least Jabba's palace.
Cartel, I thought, 'cause they had what's his
Bib
name?
Fortuna.
Like,
it depends on if he was in charge of that or not. If he was just hanging out there. I mean, would the Hutts take like Jabba's right hand man as the one to surpass him, or I don't know. We'll find out more about that, but I don't know. I'd say he's more anti-hero, more like hero for hire type deal.
True.
But they're giving him stuff to do. You know, before he was just like a yes man, or not a yes man, but more like a... He
was just a background.
He was doing orders. You know, he was bounty hunter, whatever it took to get the money he would do.
Yeah.
Little Boba Fett wanted revenge, and then that sort of just turned into him wanting to be like his father.
Yeah,
and he still kind of is doing that.
Yeah, and because in Clone Wars we see a lot of him, but he kind of gets pushed around.
A little bit.
Like a
it's
little
young.
dork.
It's sort of like Han in the Solo movie.
Yeah, but he's like a little fish in a big pond.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I'm gonna hang out with these bounty hunters, and it's like you're still a kid. That's if you're gonna do like a bounty hunter centered show, Boba Fett's probably the smartest.
It's the one
place.
you'd want to do. It's the one everyone knows.
And we could argue all day if that was their plan the moment they put him back in Mandalorian.
Probably. There's a lot of that in that season of like, oh, here's another show.
Yeah.
It's done well.
But,
don't get mad.
yeah. Oh yeah. Even then, it's like he's got enough to him, like enough substance to like where you could give him a story. Like his father was killed in front of him by Jedi. His father was a legendary bounty hunter and also the original strand for the clones, which he himself is a clone of. It's like, oh, okay, all right. So bringing him back, I mean, they could have made him like just like fly down from the sky, shooting rockets and flamethrowers,
like
and
the
stuff.
Robot Chicken.
Yeah. But I think not as. I mean, we haven't seen enough yet, so you can't really say he's like on par with what they did with Maul. But I feel like they could. I feel like they could do pretty good with them. Like they have a lot to work with.
Yeah, I'm excited for that show. I don't know if it's the most I'm excited. Probably Kenobi's my most anticipated show, but that one's up there, just to see what post Return of the Jedi crime is like. If that's where they're going with the in the Star Wars universe. You know, Empire's gone. It's almost like free reign. I know they've touched on that in some of the books, but it's like the governing body is gone. They kind of let you do what you wanted at times, and now in the New Republic's here, like, how do you operate under that? Especially Boba Fett, because he's not like, doesn't hate the New Republic or anything, you know?
Yeah, he's just a man trying to make his way through the galaxy.
Yeah, but that's pretty much all I have to say. They semi-explain it, but they do give him a really good reason for coming back. So I'd say he's probably on this pseudo list we're making is like, I'd go Maul, Boba, Sidious. One character that I think should not have come back, or should not come back at all, should not come back, is dead definitively, and I want to do a whole episode on this just because it's how passionate I am. Mace Windu should stay dead.
I agree.
You do?
I agree.
Because people are like, why did he live? Their only explanation is he's Mace Windu, of course he would live. And also their explanation is, well, he got hit with lightning. Luke got hit with lightning, and he didn't die.
But
Luke wasn't also flung out of a window 50 million stories in the air with a severed hand. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
The two reasons that I think two reasons that I think it would be wrong to bring him back are, one, it would completely negate Anakin's choice there, because that was the no turning back point.
Is he killed?
He
Jedi Master?
helped Palpatine kill the second most prominent Jedi in the Order.
Yeah.
And that was the point where he's like, oh my god, what have I done? You make him alive, you bring him back,
Yeah.
like, that would completely negate the thing. It's like, well, he could just go back on it and be like, okay, well, I can turn back.
That's the thing, is like, there's not... It's not about Mace Windu's character. Mace Windu was a character that was supposed to be killed by Anakin and Palpatine.
Yeah.
He wasn't made... I feel like he wasn't made to be explored and have this dark...
No.
This rich backstory.
No, he was there to embody everything wrong with the Jedi, and that was the reason, one of the two reasons Anakin committed to doing it, you know, committed to killing him.
It'd be like I feel like if they were to do like a backstory, right, of Mace Windu, like a movie, like the Mace Windu movie, it'd be like a Rogue One to me. It'd be like, I don't care about this.
Yeah.
I didn't care about this. Like, this could never have been made, and I would have been fine. Like, I'm not thinking like, oh, I'm glad they made this movie.
Thank God they made
thank God they finally cleared this up. Yeah.
And it's like, but the other thing about like him getting shocked is that Palpatine, up until like the last moment where Luke was like getting fried, he was just wanting to, fry him to give him pain.
Yeah.
It was his price to pay for not, accepting the dark side. He was frying him, and then he's like, and now you will die. And then that's when, a few moments after, Vader picks him up. Palpatine, when he's frying Mace Windu, has no reason to not make it a death lightning kill. You know what I mean? He's like frying him, and then he launches him out the window. Do you know how ridiculous it would be if after that you see Mace Windu, like, as he's falling, like, do like a flip or something, or land on a car or something? Like, I just think it would be stupid.
I lost my hand.
Yeah, there'd be no reason to bring him back other than to die again. You know what I mean? Without me, like, he's gonna... You know how many times Vader has had to face the ghosts of his past? Yeah. I don't want to see it again. You know what I mean? Ahsoka was, like, as good as you're gonna get.
Yes.
Other than Obi-Wan.
His own Padawan or his master.
Yeah, that's what you do. Not the guy that he thought he killed, what was it, like 20 years ago.
Yeah, I don't see Vader sitting in his giant black castle going, oh, I wish I never would have killed Windu.
Yeah, he's like, oh, good, get away from me.
Yeah, he's probably sitting there thinking, like, my kids,
yeah.
my wife.
I feel like it can be done correctly. I'd prefer them not to do it. In, like, not just Star Wars, in any medium, give death meaning and stakes, but if you're gonna do it, make it like Darth Maul,
or like,
don't make it like
even like
Sidious.